We've asked all kinds of athletes and actors and celebrities, all kinds. Our whole thing is about being a good man, and so we have these 10 questions we ask guys.
Okay.
And who taught you about manhood when you were growing up?
Well, my dad wasn't around, so I had my high school coach, my college coach. They were the people that were most influential in my manhood.
And how do you think romantic love shaped you as a man early on?
Romantic love?
Yeah, romantic love.
Well, you know what? I was kind of a shy guy, and so romance and all that stuff didn't come for me until later in life. But I think as I get older, I certainly feel myself becoming a little bit more sensitive, or finding that what you would call my feminine side. So I find myself, as I get older, being a little bit more sensitive to certain things. Just sitting there, tears come a little bit easier as I've gotten into my 50s.
And you said that your dad wasn't around. So what two words would describe your mom growing up?
Very positive, very bright, and tough.
And how do you think you're most unlike her?
I want to say not as stubborn, but I don't know if that's right either. I don't know. My mom was just she's very tough. She was a good athlete as well. She played basketball when she was in high school, and I guess that's where I get my athletic ability.
From which mistake in your life did you learn the most?
I think we learn a lot from our kids. It was always my goal to be half as good a father as I was a baseball player, because, there's no book on how to be a great father. It's you learn every day, a little bit every day, and I'm still learning. As far as kids are concerned, my kids are a lot older now, but
how old are they?
20, 22, and 28. You make mistakes as parents and stuff, and that's just all part of the learning process.
How did you manage being a dad when you were a professional athlete?
Well, a lot falls on the shoulder of the mom because we travel so much, and all you can be is that reinforcement. She has to kind of lay down the law, and we have to come in and reinforce the things that the laws that she has laid down. Sometimes we don't necessarily agree with it, but we always try to keep whatever disagreements we had away from the kids.
So what word would the women in your life use to describe you, and do you think it's true?
Caring, sensitive, romantic, good looking.
All right, is good looking true?
I don't know. I try and keep myself very presentable. So from a professional standpoint, I'd say I'm all right.
Who's the best dad you know, and what does he do to earn that distinction?
Well, the best dad that I knew, I think, was Willie McGee's dad, because he didn't only talk the talk, he walked the walk. He was a very religious man, and I admire that in him.
When was the last time you cried?
It didn't take much now, so it could have been...
I asked Dave Winfield this the other day, and he said he cries all the time.
Oh yeah, I mean, as you get older, I'm telling you, the feminine side really starts to come out, and you can sit and watch things on television. You can watch kids with their dads and stuff. So the smallest of things now bring out that real sensitive side that we all have in us.
What advice would you give teenage boys trying to figure out what it means to be a good man?
To tell them that their word is their bond. If you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it. Be your own person.
And what's your most cherished guy ritual that you like to do?
I love playing golf, man. I'm hooked.
Are you any good?
I'm a 5, and I became a 5. I didn't start playing until I retired in 1996. So to get down to a 5 at this particular time is
pretty good.
I'm pretty proud of myself.
So who's the last question? So who's going to win the All-Star game?
The National League.
Yeah, why is that? Come on, I'm in Boston, man.
I tell you what, the more we lose, the closer we get to a win. So we're down 13, man. So it's about time for us to turn it around.
The All-Star game, I know you are working on prostate cancer. Tell me what that's all about.
I'm encouraging all men 50 and older, 40 and older, if you're African-American men with a history of prostate cancer, to get into conversation with your doctor about prostate health. And the early detection of prostate cancer is not only treatable, but it's also beatable. And one out of every 6 men will have to deal with prostate cancer at some point in time in their life. So the good news is that early detection means that there is a high rate of cure for the disease, and I'm asking women to join us in making sure that their loved ones get their PSAs and stay on top of this prostate thing, because it's a dreaded disease that all of us at some point in time has to deal with. And I've always tried to use my celebrity to make sure that I bring awareness to certain causes, and this is certainly an important one.
Well, we're all about manhood, and there's nothing more manly than dealing with prostate issues straight up. So really appreciate what you're doing.
Thank you very much.
We have kind of a big fan base, so I have a couple questions that came to me through our fans. The first one's actually from a buddy of mine who happens, believe it or not, to be a urologist, so he's right there with you on a prostate issue. He was wondering whether Albert Pujols, being All-Star there in St. Louis, what would happen if he did what LeBron did this last week. I mean, his contract's up in a year. So what's your thought about the future of the Cardinals and Albert Pujols?
Well, here again, having been a part of it and been a part of the sport, it really boils down to, it's a business at the end of the day. And I think that most people understand that nothing lasts forever. I think most of the Cardinal fans would love to have Albert be one of those people that spent his entire career with one organization. He's one of those great players who has been both good on and off the field. But as an ex-player, I certainly understand the business aspect of this game, and he's got to do what he feels is in the best interest of he and his family. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed that the Cardinals will be able to come through and keep Albert in St. Louis. But being realistic, I know that there's always that possibility of him going elsewhere, because a player of his caliber is always going to have offers from other teams, and they'd be willing to give up quite a bit to get his services.
I had a note from Lisa Burnett, who actually is from St. Louis, and she was talking about remembering your popularity and on the same issue, and saying that she always felt like you were one of theirs, and that you had played your whole career in St. Louis, and that she just want to thank you for that.
Well, thanks. Thank you very much.
I had a funny one from a buddy of mine down in Florida. He wanted to know whether you were still able to do your backflip.
Not intentionally.
Where did you learn that, by the way?
Well, I grew up in Southern California, and I lived across the street from a wood factory. So I used to go over and tumble in sawdust, and then I used to go to the trampolines at one of these family fun centers on Thursdays. And when they had the trampolines in the ground, and used to tumble. And when I got to the big leagues in 1978, my rookie year, I went to spring training, and Gene Tennis, who was a teammate, saw that I could do the flip, and he had girls that were in the gymnastics, and he wanted me to show them that I could do that at some point in time during the season, which I was never able to do. So the last day of the season, which was Fan Appreciation Day, he and the PR guy thought it would be a great idea for me to do that on my way to my position, and I very reluctantly did it, because I didn't want to be labeled a hot dog. I very reluctantly did it, and they loved it so much that they asked me to do it opening day the following year, and it became my trademark. So I did it at the beginning and the end of every season.
Well, I mean, it shows a certain amount of athletic ability, because God only knows I could never do that.
Well, right now, people say, can I do it now? And I'm scared to do it now. It took me 55 years to realize that I could do harm to myself.
You've been very generous with your time. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much.